does that mean? Dude,
What?
I can never get this down on time. Hang on. It
That's
won't
part of the
it
MO
won't
at this point, dude.
yeah, I know. It won't let me pin it because, it says I can only
Really?
pin 6 things, but I was like, "Dude, where are these pinned things at?" I gotta f this whole business suite thing that Facebook switched to is terrible. I
Is it
hate it.
really?
Yeah, it's not very user friendly.
I'm
Uh
glad you get the inconvenience of that and not me. We would not have a show.
So, looks like we're off to our regular start. Nothing, nothing new here, guys. Nothing crazy to see.
Same as
Um,
always.
I kn So, just like Quentin said last week, South Texas Football Unlimited on someday and sometime, right?
Yep, spot on.
Um, so before I had a little list here, but we kinda went long in our little pregame thing. So we'll get back to that here in a little bit. We've got a special guest here waiting for us to talk some. That last week there was a lot of well, I guess this group went away. There was a lot of talk about some of the way these playoff games were scheduled. Like this Port Lavaca Alice game was a big one, right? They were talking, well, why are they picking it way out there? It's in Seguin. I forgot that they played local last year. They played in GP last year in the great Weathergate game that everybody loves to talk about, right? So the way I figured it was, well, maybe that was Alice's home neutral game last week, and within the last couple of years, if you play within the last 2 years in the postseason, you can flip flop, right, or something. I'm going to butcher it, right? So to kind of explain that, we've got a friend of the show here in the waiting room right now. He's the assistant athletic director for the UIL and head of football. I'm going to throw operations in there because I like the way that sounds. Head of football operations
Operations, right?
for the UIL. Coach AJ Martinez. Coach, how are you?
Good, 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 good. Thank you. Hopefully, I'm not on mute, right? This thing works.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
you're
we
good.
hear you loud and clear. Actually, too loud. I got to turn you down here a little bit. Uh, AJ, we appreciate you taking the time to come on. We know it's the holidays and whatnot, so I know you're pretty busy about this time of year, playoffs, getting ready for state and things like that, right? So
Yes, sir.
AJ and I we ran into each other last Thursday. Was it
Last
Thursday?
Thursday. Yep.
I think we may have jinxed the hometown boys last week because they hadn't had any guest speakers and they called us in to talk to the Odom team Thursday night to give them a little pep talk, and we kind of took them out of the norm, and we may have not have been a good thing on our part. We should have probably stayed home.
Yep.
Uh, but I got to asking AJ about some of these playoff things. How do they work, right? Because you hear so many things, right? Flip for this, flip for that. So AJ was kind enough to kind of let us on and or come on and kind of give a brief overview about how this stuff works. So AJ, the floor is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you're looking at here, man, is anytime you have two teams that are getting together, two schools, the first thing you always look for is the home and home, and basically what you're looking for is to see if these two teams have played each other the previous two postseasons. So let's take for example, let's say Miller and Victoria West, they're playing this week. Let's say they met in the playoffs either last year or the year before. Had that been a coin flip for home and home at that time, let's say Miller would have won it 2 years ago, and they played in Corpus. Well, anytime they come into this meeting, this playoff meeting to decide where they're going to play, that's an automatic now, knowing that they played in Corpus two postseasons ago, that it would automatically go to Victoria. This is just an example. Obviously, they're coming to Corpus this time, but um, it's based on like a 3 year cycle, pretty much. I think a lot of people think it's the realignment, and if you played somebody last year, you come to their place this year, but it's actually the previous two postseasons. So now, if the teams have never seen each other in the postseason within those 3 year spans, then at that time they decide what they want to do. They can either flip for, they got a couple options. They can flip home and home. They can flip home neutral, which means I'm going to pick a site closer to me. You're going to pick a site closer to you. And then we're going to flip for that. Or we decide on a neutral stadium. You talked about, say, Alice and Port Lavaca. Essentially, what they're looking for is they were looking for a neutral stadium. Now, what's available? That's a big question a lot of times. So what you'll do is you'll actually have 4 teams. Let's say last round you had Odom Lexington playing, and you know that they were going to play the winner of Poth East Bernard. So these 4 teams could ultimately get together last week on a Monday or Tuesday and decide, hey guys, let's all agree to a site. And so they may say, hey, look, depends on who wins. Let's choose the Alamo Dome, even though it may be out of the way for let's say if Odom were to end up playing East Bernard, well, we're going to the Alamo Dome. That's kind of, we should have gone to maybe Victoria. But us 4 teams arranged the matchup ahead of time to make sure that we got a facility and to get their name up on a list and a guarantee that they're going to get that site when it comes open, or else you could be down on the list if you wait until you actually win the games. So essentially, that's usually how it works with those teams, and they know what they can and cannot do on things like that.
So that probably explains what happened with GP Flower Bluff when they went to the Dome instead of a local game. They probably prearranged those 4 teams that week before and picked that Alamo
What
Dome site, and that's what happened.
and it could have happened that way. You are absolutely correct. Or neither one of them said, you know what, we don't want to play at Buck or Cabinets, and the only place that could possibly fit us. And how cool is it to play in the Dome, where you don't have to worry about weather and anything like that, especially that late in the season. So,
It's experience too.
yes. Yeah.
So do regular season matchups come into play? Like you brought up Miller and Victoria West. So earlier in the season, Miller went to Victoria West for that game. So that has no factor in it whatsoever. It's just postseason.
Yeah, our language has to do with postseason. Yeah, correct. Yep.
See, and I believe Orange Grove, I'm sorry, Ingleside had this issue with Wimberley. I want to say that they didn't get their name on the list fast enough for the Alamo Dome. So now they got stuck playing at, I believe, Ferris. That was what I was told from someone within the Ingleside.
Yeah.
Hill.
Well, a lot of times what happens with the Dome is that they're put on a list, but that list may go 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, not necessarily who's first, who's second on the list. They're going to pick the big games.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's why you normally see the 6A, 5A games that are happening. And if there's a spot open for an 11 o'clock game, that's when you'll normally see, hopefully, a 3A or 4A can slip in there.
Yeah, I noticed a couple 11 o'clock games at the Dome this week, and they are kind of actually, I guess, just as the scale of the games that they have coming in. It's a 6A school. It's J that's playing 11 a.m. on Saturday. It's just, I guess, the bigger the game, the higher or the later start you
Yes.
get, I guess, is what it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Usually.
So AJ's been the head of football for the last 2 seasons? I think 3
This is
seasons.
this is the second season, correct?
Right, right. So the other hat that AJ wears in that thing is he plans the state championship at Jerrah World, right? So, what is that like? And when does it start? Because I imagine that's a whole ball of wax.
So going through football, obviously our first communication with usually AT&T Center is going to be AT&T Stadium is going to be early in August and September, just looking to set up the meetings and stuff like that. Essentially, we start gearing up and we start having all these meetings with AT&T with regards to ticket, with regards to fan, with regards to media. All that stuff starts to rev up in mid October, so early to mid October we start going through all that stuff. So we also start getting all our paperwork ready, and we start talking with, let's say, for instance, Bally's. We got to talk with Bally's and where they're going to set up, and there's going to be a change this year. So when there's going to be a change, well, we got to make sure that it's okay with AT&T. We got to make sure it's okay with Bally's, and we got to make sure everybody's on the same page. So it's little things like that. Another interesting thing that came up this year was raising and lowering the nets. Things like such as little as that. How much is it going to cost to raise and lower the nets so the cameras don't have to see through the nets through the end zone from Bally's? And so it's things like that. All the particulars that we start to drum up, and things that we can do to make it better. And we work not only with the AT&T stadium, in those wonderful people over there, but also Bally's and also our marketing people, the Sports in Action, who deal with Dave Campbell's, who help pretty much dress the entire facility inside and make it look awesome for those teams. So it's a lot of work, man, and it's continuous. And I wish I was just doing football, but obviously, I do other sports as well.
Yeah.
But this is definitely the one that obviously means the most to Texas when it comes to sports. So we got to make sure we do it right. If we don't do it right, we'll hear about it.
Oh, you'll hear about it fast,
Quick.
especially with social
Yes.
media nowadays. I mean, that's the first screw up. There it is. There's something, right? And it's just like, you'll get a lot of the and I'm one of them. You'll get a lot of this is why the site should rotate kind of deal, right? And and I'm one of those guys. But man, we appreciate you coming on, AJ. I know you got a lot of stuff you got to do. Justin, you got anything before we let our guest go?
Yeah, we need to work on getting some passes. Eventually, this thing. This is the man we need to talk to, right?
Our media department is definitely happy to help out anybody they can in that regards. I don't know, they got their restrictions and their guidelines, so whatever they say goes on that stuff, man.
For
A
sure.
part of being the director or something is you got to have great people that are also doing all their spots, and our media department is really good.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, AJ, again, thanks again, man. We appreciate you coming on. We'll let you get back to your festivities, and I'll get with you later in the week to take care of my end of the favor.
All right, man. Well, happy Thanksgiving to y'all.
All right, same to you, AJ. We'll see you.
I'm gonna need to see some video of this pregame speech.
There is none, dude. There's none. There is none. Yeah.
Dude. That's the first time I've heard about that too.
So I hope that was I hope that cleared everything up. I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces in it. One of the things he told me the other day, he didn't mention today, you could have potentially 3 or 4 coin flips going into that kind of picking a playoff spot. Because if you've got one team that wants to do a neutral and one that wants to do a home, well, they're going to flip to see, okay, we're going to do a home and home or a home neutral. So they got to flip for that. Then they got to flip for everything else that goes down the line. Yeah. So it's not just one coin flip that people think.
Who's like, they have a UIL representative? I guess we didn't even ask that, did we?
As far as what?
Who, for the flip? Like, who's the...
Oh, like, I don't know. I don't think so, dude. I think
right. Like,
I think. Well, if you read Friday Night Lights, and I don't remember if they did it in the book, but I think they have an official there. And in the book, there was 3 teams that went to this truck stop way out in the middle of West Texas to flip to see who got in the playoff. Because back then it was only 2 teams.
Yeah.
Right. It was Permian and 2 other teams, because it was a roundabout there. They all had the same amount of losses, and they were going to figure out who's going to go. And they all 3 flipped a coin. It was odd man out.
Yeah.
And then from there, that one guy was out, and then the last 2 flip, and then okay, you got the second spot. And I don't remember if that was in the movie or not, but it was it was in the book, and it was very detailed on how it went in the book.
Yeah.
But yes, and I don't think there's a UIL person there, but I think there is a district representative or something.
Has to be, right?
Or something. Yeah, there's got to be somebody there. Yeah. I would think, to keep them honest. But yeah, so that kind of jumped everything. Do I think Midland Legacy has a chance against Allen? Possibly. They're winning some big games. Let me see. Before we jump into the playoffs, so Thanksgiving is this week, and another thing is tomorrow. It's my esteemed colleague's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
So
I was like, where's he going with this? I was reading the write-up. I'm like, where's he going with this?
Yeah. See, Matt just said there's usually not a UIO rep at most coin tosses. Yeah, so Justin is hitting the big 3-2, 3-1 tomorrow, right? So birthday and then Thanksgiving, hence why we had the show tonight versus tomorrow. He's going to be out celebrating and then getting ready to do his turkey. What are you doing for the turkey?
Dude, actually, we're doing so I've been you know me, I get on these kicks, right? And then I try to sell people on it. And appreciate you guys on the birthday wish. My father-in-law got me hooked on the Big Easy, the Charbroil Big Easy. It's basically the oilless fryer for your
okay. Turkey. I remember that one. Yeah.
We've been doing it the last couple of years, and I'm not the biggest like turkey guy. And
I hate turkey. I can't.
I'm not the biggest fan, dude. But I'll tell you what.
Dry ass
I
bird.
was working. I set Kinsey up with it on Sunday. She made one. I prepped it for her right the night before, and then all she had to do was drop it in and go. And we took it to the teams given we had. And dude, honestly, I didn't even get any. By the time I got there, it was all gone. We had a lot of people, but it comes out pretty moist and it's good. And so that's exactly how I'll do it every year. I tell everyone, I'm like, dude, you'll pay $50 for the fry oil. Just pay the $99 because Academy runs them on sale for 100 from 130 to $99, like $40 off. Totally worth it. It's nice. So I'm gonna do that. We'll do that at my house late in the evening with her family, and then I have a lunch with my grandparents at my mom's house. So it'll be
Well,
cool.
we
And
were
I go back to work on Friday night, so I'm missing all the good games.
dude.
I didn't even think about it.
Work has been a hamper for you big time this year. You know, luckily, I mean, for those of you guys who haven't followed the last few episodes, so I no longer work with Justin anymore. We're not coworkers anymore. I went to another spot, and I'm straight days right now. I'm working 410s right now, so I'm free Thursday nights. I'm free Fridays. I'm free Saturdays. There's no more shift work for me for probably the next year and a half, I would say. And so it frees it up a lot. And Justin, just the way the schedule worked out this year has worked every Friday night, man.
Dude, I've had a bad one, dude. I've had a bad one. I'm hoping, actually, I'm not hoping, I'm pretty much knowing that I will be doing region finals, no doubt. And then I'm thinking I'll be able to do the semis for sure. I wish, Becca. Think about it every day.
What else happened last week? So last week I went out into Tuloso Midway. I stayed local. Went out to Tuloso Midway and got eyes on Tidehaven and Joseph Dodds against Dilly, and that was a pretty strong Dilly team. Dilly, they were pretty big, man. They were pretty proud of that team. But Dodds is sneaky. He gets yards in a sneaky way, dude. He's not busting out 90-yard runs every time he touches the ball, but he's popping up 10, 15 yards a pop. I could have swore he probably ran for 150. Yeah. He ended up with almost 300 yards, dude. 271 and 3 touchdowns. And just he had one 83-yard breakout and a 31-yard run. But I mean, everything was intermediate runs, 10, 15 yards a pop, dude. I mean, he's a solid runner, man. Good, a big kid. So keep your eyes on Tidehaven. They've got Rogers this week, and we'll talk about that later. Some other things that happened last week, real quick. We got a quick video to show you guys. JC Smith from Ingleside.
And ladies and gentlemen, you are about to witness history. Number 7, JC Smith gets into the end zone and he ties the national high school football record for touchdown receptions in a season, 39, and he still's got a
Of course, it's always going to do that. So yeah, so JC Smith tied the national touchdown record in a single season with 39 last week. He tied Trendavian Dixon with 39, and he's got at least one more game to go. So he could get sole possession of that record this week. So congratulations, Jaden, man. We're pretty proud of everything that you're doing over there, man. It's been a grind, man. It seems like he's been playing varsity football for 8 years. Right, because it seems like he's been there probably like he's at 7th grade.
The crazy thing is, dude, is his first 2 years were sitting in a wing T offense.
Yes, blocking. He was blocking.
That's what me and McHugh talk about all the time. Is he was in a wing T offense, dude, and they finally kind of got it that spread system, and man, he just blossomed, right? So it's cool.
Yeah. So let's jump into the playoff slate. Unless you got anything else you want to kind of BS about before we go.
Man, I'll tell you what, dude. So you mentioned that I've worked a lot, and I did. I worked last Friday on days, but we had my oldest one's birthday party, right? So I was doing that. I see people all the time, man. I don't want to pay for an FHS, the 10, 12. I think it's $12 now. But dude, I'm telling you, it's a lifesaver. I was able to come home while you were at the game. I was able to finish the Poth and East Bernard game, the very end of it. Then I was able to hop over. I checked in on Flower Bluff and Santone Vets. And then I flipped from there to Lago Vista Sinton, right? I was able to check in on that. Then I caught the overtime game of Katy Cy-Fair, which was great. That's a cool little note. I think you put that in the notes for later on.
Yep.
I caught the end of the Allen game when they went to overtime as well against Arlington Martin, another great game. So, I mean, it's just a really cool tool. Most people that are watching this show right now, you're football fans, If you haven't heard of it, or if you're on the fence, I don't want to pay the $12, extremely worth it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be worth it this weekend. You're gonna save the money in gas alone if you don't want to go to the Alamo Dome.
Yeah.
It's just cool, man. And then I saw a lot of chatter down there. It was Midland, Lee, Legacy, Allen. There was just so many matchups last week that I think if you're a fan of football in Texas, obviously we are, dude. It's like, how do you pick what game you want to go watch? Like if I'm Matt, I don't know how Matt picked between last week and this week. It's gonna be pretty tough. This week is kind of nice for him because it's gonna line up. If it's me, I'm sitting in the Alamo Dome, but up in Arlington's got some really good games too.
Yeah.
So I don't know, dude. It'd be interesting to see how he picks that. I'm gonna go with probably restaurant appeal, or whoever takes care of him in the box. But there's a lot of good stuff, man. And if you can't make it, NFHS is your friend. I don't
Yeah,
want
dude.
to sell you
Screw,
on it or
screw,
advertise for him, but
screw
it's
Sunday Ticket, right? I mean, this is a whole lot better than Sunday Ticket. You know,
oh my God,
I mean,
just
and you pull it up.
murders
The only bad thing about it is that you can only watch on one screen, right? Within it, it's changed. You can only
It's
watch on
changed.
one screen, one password, right? So you can't have the multiple TV setup.
Value shopper, hell yeah.
Dude, I may be there Saturday, Matt. It's still up in the air. So I was supposed to have Thanksgiving on Friday this year, right? And then
I was nervous for you on that one.
and then this morning there was an audible. Hey, how do y'all feel about Thanksgiving on Thursday? Well, I already have plans Thursday, right? So that frees up my Friday. So now we're just trying to figure out the logistics. If hey, slow down, Andrew. All right. You run your own show if you want to start 5A D1 playoffs right now. We like to banter. We don't work together anymore. This is our catch-up time, pal. So now it frees up my Friday. It frees up my Saturday. So we may end up going up Friday morning. And well, I'll talk about it when we get there. So now it's free. It's free. All right. So the Coastal Bend and the Crossroads, we went 9-8 last week.
I think that's a very on par number with what we were coming with.
Oh, look at that. I didn't know that. Texan Live, you can multi-screen Texan Live.
Does it have as much coverage as the FHS? I think, man, I totally forgot about Texan Live.
I did too. Yeah. I mean, that's you. NFHS is the one that's got the, I mean, I don't know if it's got the brand appeal, but it's the one that's known, right?
I'm not gonna lie, I panicked because my account wasn't up to date and I was already felt like I was running behind time. So I was scrambling to get that redone and reloaded, and then I was just screen mirroring after that point.
Yeah. And then the other
Texan Live used to only be Houston based, it seemed like, until you got to like round 4. And then it would pick up more. So if it's got more see, that's the problem.
Yeah. And then see the other problem. So the Refugio guys, they've been getting the denial to get cover the games. And I guess he had a lot of fans upset last week against that Johnson City game. The guys couldn't pronounce Refugio. They made a whole thing about how do you say it? We just won't say it. And I like listening to those guys call a game. Billy Sweeney gets very animated when he's calling a Refugio game. So I like that part, right? I like the part where, and I'm not a big streamer guy, right? Especially during the regular season. I get it during the playoffs. I get it. But during the regular season, I can't stand it because I'm not even gonna get on my soapbox on that, right? But a lot of times the guys they get to cover these games don't know the teams, right? And that's the bad part about it from what I see. You watch an NFL game, you watch a college game, those guys are informed on what's going on with those teams that they're calling, right? High school game, it's a little harder. I get it. But you still want that you want to know who the kids are. You want to know the names. You want to know that one year we called games for Rio Sports. Remember, people appreciate. We knew all about all those kids, right? We could talk about their family lives. We can talk about where they're coming from because we built those relationships, right? And it's harder on that scale. I get it, but I miss it. Okay. Anyways, so let's jump into 6A D1. Right. Some interesting notes, and we've kind of hit on this already, right? So Region 1, Midland Legacy 57-53 over Euless Trinity in 2 overtimes. Did you watch? You said you watched that, right?
No, I watched the tail end of Allen. I would have probably flipped, and mind you, hey, Midland Legacy is Midland Lee. For the people that I had to do this research a couple years ago, and I saw Midland Legacy. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
it's Legacy. Midland Lee? Where's Midland Lee? Where's Midland Lee? And that's a whole nother topic. But anyways, that's the Midland Lee that people are familiar with from the movie Friday Night Lights, all that. Dude, that coach, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head. he made the waves last year because he had I think it was they got knocked out of the playoffs last year, and he had a kind of a little like a little, I guess, emotional moment, you'd call it, right? They kind of blew up. It's one of those videos you see, and it kind of pops up all over Twitter for a little bit there about his seniors and whatnot. And then, I mean, dude, they have a really good quarterback in Marcus Davila. I started following him last year after that playoff run. I don't know, dude. I saw a little bit of Allen. It's not the Allen of Kyler Murray time. This is more Matt's neighborhood with covering Allen. I would assume I saw down in there somewhere, who's the favorite. I think Matt.
Well, Allen's had a
I would
revolving
assume,
door of head coaches the last few
which is
years.
crazy to me, but I think that job is a pressure cooker. But I would assume Allen's the favorite in that, dude. You're talking about, like, I think, what, a 7,000 enrollment. Midland League's big, but they're not that big. And that's been kind of West Texas's hurdle. I know we don't cover it as much, but if you really just kind of look at the West Texas scene, it's going to take it's going to take a really tough team to get through that DFW area and break through. And I don't know, man. Maybe Midland Legacy can do it with Marcus Davila and them. I'll probably tune in if it lines up right, or rewatch it. Because a lot of times I won't watch a game or look for the scores, and I'll go back and rewatch it like it's a brand new game to me. That's another perk.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I'd like to hear Matt's take on that, but it's gonna be an interesting game. Euless Trinity, that's a big team to take down, right?
I think Matt hit it on here earlier, or at least he talked about the Midland Legacy game. He was at that game. Said Allen will be the favorite, but Legacy has a great shot. And just like you said, Justin Davila, or the Davila kid, is doing pretty well over there. The other one, and you kind of mentioned this already, was in Region 3, Cy-Fair over Katy, 28-21 in overtime. Katy was a 21-point favorite in that game.
Dude, yeah. It's the cool thing I found in that, and I'm a Katy guy, right? Something about it. I saw you post, you tagged me in a post on that baseball practice about Columbus. If you're not familiar with the setup there, Columbus is about an hour down the road, if even that, from Katy. When I was a little kid, we went to Katy stadiums a lot for playoff games. And I've always, just for whatever reason, I just like it. The red and the white, the Tigers, they're old school. Coach Joseph, I found out, he was there since, I guess, like 2001. I found that very interesting. I was kind of listening to their announcers were good, man. They had a good crew running it. But Cy-Fair is a very good team. So this is one of those ones in my thing. I was definitely wanting to watch it. And that was the first time Katie's lost in the area round since 2003, I believe. I think that was the number. 2003 was the last time they've lost in the second round of the playoffs, which is crazy to think about that kind of run. And you're talking about doing this in Big 5A and 6A football.
And after getting diluted so much, right, with all the schools that have popped up in Katy,
Yes.
that's saying something.
And there's some really good Katy schools right now. I think Tompkins is one of them right now. Jalen Milroe came from Tompkins, I believe. That's the Alabama quarterback. Like, there's some really good teams, are very competitive teams that have pulled from those kids, right? And I just found that very interesting. And Cy-Fair's got a hell of a quarterback in Trey Owens. I've been following him for a little over a year now. He goes to JP Tillman, who I have a lot of respect for. He's a quarterback coach. Who's also the quarterback coach for Lagway. And he's kind of under the radar, man. He's a 4-star kid. He's committed to Texas, University of Texas. And I kind of, even though he's got a 4-star rating, dude, he's an underdog. And it was just interesting to see kind of the aftermath, man. Hey, they wrote this kid off, and dude, he delivered big time in the overtime for Cy-Fair. And pencil him in, dude. Cy-Fair's a clean cut program as well. And I thought the venue was perfect for where they played at. And Trey Owens is a damn good quarterback. If you're a Longhorn fan, keep it in there, dude. He's going to be getting some time eventually, maybe down the road. Depends on what shakes out in the quarterback room. He committed to a pretty heavy quarterback room. That'll tell you something about his character. He's not scared of competition. So it's Cy-Fair's an interesting team to pencil in on.
And then that brings us to Region 3. Lake Travis and Westlake, they continue on to their district rematch, right? So, but before that, Westlake's got to get by Laredo United, who beat San Benito. We were wrong on that pick, 58-42. They'll be playing at the Alamo Dome Saturday at 3 p.m. And then Lake Travis, San Antonio Brennan, 3 p.m. Friday at the Alamo Dome. So these games, like I said, and we talked about earlier, these games are stacking up at the Dome.
I feel pretty confident too about both those teams getting that rematch.
I do too. I don't think there's I don't know. It's just going to be hard to jump over those. There's that mental hurdle that San Antonio faces against those Austin teams.
Yep.
So we'll see. But right now, I've got Lake Travis and Westlake in the region finals again, and then with the chance to go to the Final Four. 6A D2. Some interesting notes. Highland Park out of Region 1 over McKinney, 22-21. McKinney was a 4-point favorite. Not much to say about that. Highland Park, the most affluent community.
They were
in Texas,
down,
not the United States.
I kept monitoring that game. They were down. Dude, it seemed like I thought they were going to lose it, but dude, Randy Allen, man, continually. And I honestly, I think it's safe to say that I think McKinney had the favorite with the athletes in that game too. That's just good coaching, dude.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the very end of that. Matt probably knows it, but just another display of what good coaching can do for you. I think when you have a little bit better team, more athletic team than you.
Yeah. All right, Region 3. Our guy Grove, they get another win. They survive another week. CE King wins again, 37-20.
Yep.
You need to find that football, dude. We're gonna run into this guy one day. You're gonna have to sign that ball again.
I'd just give it to him and Coach Scholl to put in a case somewhere in Columbus. I think that'd be cool too.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. And then we run into Region 4. My opinion, Region 4 still Cibolo Steels to lose, right?
Absolutely.
So they march on. They won. They're going to face San Antonio Harlan.
That's the big team, right? That we've talked about. That are they legit?
Yeah, and Torres. You know, I picked the cards, dude. It's hard for me to ever pick against Harlingen. I pick with my heart instead of my head. It's a good thing I don't put money on these things. 48-0, dude. And that was here in Corpus at Cabinus. So Steele and Harlan will play 11 a.m. Friday at the Alamo Dome. Early game. So there's that one. I think where was he? Oh man, now we got these spam posters in here. Hang on.
Awesome.
Talk right now. Let me see if I can get
real quick. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 5A D1 or 6A D2? Denton Ryan got knocked out by Abilene. That was another, to me, kind of big upset of West Texas over the DFW, a powerhouse DFW. If you want someone to hop in there with that, maybe Matt or anyone else who saw that. Is it D2 or is it D1 5A? That was a pretty big shocker in my opinion. Now I don't really know what Abilene has, but Denton Ryan got beat by Abilene. I'm just trying to figure out if it was 5A D1 or 6A D2.
Keep talking. I gotta block this dude real quick, man. So hang on.
What's the deal? We have never had this issue.
Well, it's been a while since we have. It's always this time of year where we get the.
Hey, Kelvin Benjamin, isn't that the old receiver from the Bills that came out of Florida State? Right? They tried to convert him to a tight end because he came into the league a little fat. Yeah, whatever. Cibolo still, dude. Yeah, I think that Region 4 shakeup is going to be big time in their favor. I would love to see them play that San Antonio Harlan team because I think it was Frank who was talking Harlan up, so they have a lot to offer. So that'll be interesting. And then the Drip, they beat Judson, 38-34? That's what you had down here?
Yeah, they did. And, Judson led at that. They were up by 10 points.
Yeah, and that's a 4-8 Judson team, dude.
Yep.
They were 4-8 going into that. So curious if the Drip's not as good as we thought or if Judson just played a really tough preseason schedule.
Okay. I think I got him. I just banned Kelvin Benjamin, whoever he is. So there we go. We shouldn't see any more of these. So yeah, sorry for that. So so 38-34 over Judson. So they'll play they play San Antonio J, who beats Weslaco. And from what I'm hearing, Weslaco was in that game. They just kind of shot themselves in the foot a lot. They were moving the ball very well. They won 27-14 over J. This is the first time in school history that J has been to the third round. I was talking to our guy Robbie today, and I was like, dude, how so Jake snuck up on me, dude. I figured that'd be a team that you covered. He's like, dude, I've covered him 3 times. He's like, but nobody cared. That's cool. So Jay, they continue their season just like Damone said. They got a couple athletes, but they're believing in what they're doing, man. So they'll play the Drip 11 a.m. Saturday at the Alamo Dome, man. They got that early morning game, so that should be a good one as well. Let's see how Jay produces. If I'm there, I may be there that early Saturday morning. We'll see.
Yeah, he will be.
So 5A D1, this is something I found interesting. Yeah, that is a definition of a Cinderella team, Amos. So now, I mean, outside of Piper, I'm rooting for these guys, man. So we'll see. 5A D1 Region 3. This is what I saw that was pretty interesting. A potential College Station A&M consolidated rematch in the playoffs. College Station won 49-42 in the regular season. This will be the first time they ever meet in the postseason.
Really?
And this is kind of talking about what you're saying about Katy. College Station has made the playoffs every year that they've played a varsity schedule, and that's going back to 2013.
And made deep runs, dude.
They've made deep runs, dude. Yes, but I think their worst record in that span was like 8-3. I think that was probably their worst record there. And so they both got to get by their opponents, but I thought that was pretty neat. And in 2013, that little tidbit here, you know who College Station played as they were building up their program?
Not sure.
Prime Prep.
Awesome.
Yeah, where's that school now? Talk about Bishop Sycamore. So
hey, another cool side note, 2016, they also played Cal Allen. Cal Allen beat them to state.
I remember that game.
Yep.
Very good game. So Region 4, right? So we got this is where the local flavor starts bumping in, right? So 5 p.m. Friday, Victoria West. We kind of hit on this earlier. Victoria West is visiting Buck Stadium for a rematch against Corpus Christi Miller. West coming in over that win over South 56-20, and Miller over Edinburgh Vela 49-28. Yep. Broderick Taylor, man, he's lighting it up, dude. He started the season kind of slow, man, but there's been no stopping him since this is gone. He's been on one, dude.
Identity the last game, right? They went more heavy run than normal, and they kind of laid off the throw a little bit, right? So,
yep.
Is that a trend they're trying to set for the? I think last year maybe I think one of the things last year too, when you go back to that Miller team and when they lost to PSJ, the weather was bad that game. Couldn't throw the ball. It was almost the same situation Alice found themselves in, right? And then the run game just wasn't there for them. So I'm wondering if that's something that they're trying to make sure. And Broderick Taylor, dude, he's, to me, absolutely the best running back they've had since we've been covering Miller, it seems like.
Yep.
Just as far as staying on the field, keeping production, and just grinding it out, right? So I'm just curious if that's one of the little identities they're trying to get going, right? Not only do we throw the ball, we're also going to be physical with you. Because that's what we kept saying. Hey, the physicality is what knocked him out the year before, right?
He's actually the career single season leading rusher in Miller history. And they've had some pretty good running backs going back to the 90s and the 80s and things like that. So that's saying something. And I think Long may have surpassed Andrew Body last week in single season touchdown passes.
It was either tied him or surpassed him.
I have to check that
because I want to say Andrew congratulated him afterwards.
Yeah. So Joe, I know you're in here. Chime in just to kind of correct us if we can. Yeah. I'm leaning heavy Miller, but it is always hard to beat that team twice in a postseason. You ran into that with GP a couple years ago in Flower Bluff, right? They won that regular season matchup, and in the playoffs they lost it there in the Dome that same year. We were talking about that game earlier. What was I going to say about that? I lost my train of thought. But West, I think they've scored like 140 something points in their 2 playoff wins or something like that, and only given up like 40 or something like that. So
it'll be interesting to get that rematch. Obviously, it's harder to beat a team twice, like you said. Man, I think that Miller outcoaches West to seal this off. I think West has the athletes to help contain or keep this a really good game, because remember they pushed them last matchup. But
so there was all kinds of banter going on about that. Did you see any of that traffic going on our page? So I think Felipe, who chimed in here, said the second team went in early. I guess there was a pretty big lead. Second team went early, gave up a couple touchdowns, and so they put the number ones back in, and they kind of took care of business there. But they said this game was very rainy. There was water splashing everywhere. Anytime a kid would fall on the ground, there was water splashing everywhere. Kids were sliding. It was that kind of a game.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the game that that did Miller in against PSJA, right? It was
Yeah.
you were at that game last year. It was a windy
No,
game.
exactly. That's what I was talking about. The pass game wasn't really there because the weather was horrible, and the run game just wasn't really there. So yeah, I think be honest with you, I think Victoria West can get another heavy dose of Broderick Taylor, dude. Like keep feeding him. He's hot, right? Get your O line more reps, right, on the run game. We already know what Trevor can do, and it's not gonna. I'm not saying they're not gonna throw the ball because they are. You have to have a good balanced attack, but I think you're gonna see a pretty good dose of Broderick, and he's impressive, dude. I don't think Victoria West has the. I think they'll make it a game, but I don't think it's gonna be as close as last time. And I hate looking ahead, but I think you're going to be looking at PSJA and Miller in that matchup everyone wants to see, right? Everyone up here wants to see it. Valley wants to see it. So I think that's what we're streaming towards.
And hey, North leads the series 1-0.
Yeah, they do.
Right, regardless of what you say, what you bring, they lead the series 1-0.
Oh,
And then the other, in this, they were favored to win this one, but it was still kind of a surprise to me. Brownsville Vets takes down CC Vets 17-7. The biggest knock, and we never talked about it this year, is that our vets never really had a rushing identity this season. And I think that's what got them in this game. Is if you go back to the comments, that they could not run the ball, and it hurt them. 17-7. I think there was a 3-0 game at the half where Brownsville took the lead going into halftime, and I think Vets got that touchdown, took their only lead of the game, and then Brownsville just kind of wore on them. Anybody that was at that game, if we're saying anything different, feel free to chime in. But we'll get there, guys. Everybody's talking about these lower division games. We're working our way down. We start at the top and work our way down, but we are definitely going to talk about those games you guys are mentioning there. So 5A D2, Region 4, right? So there wasn't really any surprises anywhere else in Region 1, 2, or 3. But Region 4, San Antonio Piper over Mission Vets 38-6. That game, they will be playing Alamo Heights in the Alamo Dome, 7 p.m. Saturday. Alamo Heights coming off a big win again over Gregory Portland, 49-14. You watched it, right?
Smack.
Give us a quick synopsis.
I think whoever watched the show last week, I wanted to say I'll be at HEB all week.
Dude, so Justin got some comments, some hate mail saying that some of the dads thought he needed to be sacking groceries already before the game was played. That guy needs to be bagging groceries. This is what they said.
Yeah. Hey, and you know what, man? I hope it. I hate doing that, right? I hate being that person, but I was just disgruntled, man. And I felt like I have the. I feel like I should be allowed to say that if I want to, right? I put money into the school. I played for the school, right? The one thing I can say, I wasn't shocked because I really, Michael Terry, dude, if people aren't curious, because it didn't even shock me when I looked it up. I had a buddy text me, hey, is Michael Terry got any offers? And I was like, I'm pretty sure he's a 3-star dude. I went to go look. Heck, he's skyrocketed up. He's a 4-star. He's pushing the top 100 in the nation. He looks every bit the part. Good friend of ours thinks Texas is going to make a push for him next year, his senior year. So it wasn't shocking what they did to Portland. The one thing that I think I could be proud of as a fan, I jumped their ass the week prior to me, it seemed like you get in these games and we'd lay down before the whistle started. I give them credit, man. They never laid down. They played hard. They fought. Sometimes you go out there and you're outclassed by a better team. And quite frankly, that was the case, dude. We were outclassed by a better team. And so you tip your hats to them. I think Alamo Heights has a really good chance to run this region. Them and Bluff, I would love to see them play. I haven't seen Piper, so I can't give you a 100% honest answer on them, and I haven't seen Liberty Hill. I really feel good about the Bluff. This has given me a lot of the vibes back when my sister twirled there at the Bluff, when they went on a really good run, and we got knocked out against Vandegrift and Rock Pile, which I got escorted at halftime. That's a funny story. If you ever see me on the side, ask me about it. You'll get a crack out of it. But anyways, man, we got outclassed by a better team. Our boys fought as much as they could, but, tip your hats to Alamo Heights. They got size. They got speed. They have a really good quarterback that kind of, I think, gets overshadowed by Michael Terry. And if you haven't got to watch Michael Terry, go to the Alamo Dome and check him out against Piper, dude. He's worth the price of admission. He's very good. So
I was about to tell you that their quarterback,
very
Colin
good.
Ernst, I think is how you say his name, gets overshadowed by Terry a lot, dude. He had 180 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, and he threw for 235 in 2 touchdowns in that game against Gregory Portland. So, a lot of if you're watching film and you're a coach, you're gonna know about that guy. But guys like us who are just kind of perusing the paper and things like that, he kind of gets overshadowed
Yeah.
by Michael Terry, and for good reason. He's a 4-star athlete. But watch out for that quarterback, dude.
To answer John, it depends on what Flower Bluff shows up, because I was a little shocked that they allowed San Antonio vets to stay with them as much as they did. But Flower Bluff, dude, they match. I feel like they match up well. I just don't know if they have enough containment on Michael Terry, because at the end of the day, Alamo Heights, I've seen him do it before. They'll put him at quarterback and just give him a Wildcat package and just say go.
They did it
So
last
I would
year, right?
love to see that. I would love to see that matchup. Uh, I would really like to see it, and I'm hoping it lines out that I can make that in the region finals, Alamo Heights and Flower Bluff, which I would hope is at the Dome, if not the Rock Pile. I love the Rock Pile.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just wanted to put on the calendar, dude. I think it'd be a really good matchup.
I have not been to the Rock Pile to cover a game yet. I've been there as a spectator. I have not been there to cover a game yet.
I did it with
Yeah, you went that one year when Southside played. Who did they play?
No, we did. I did Corpus Christi Veterans versus Cedar Park. I did it that year. Me and the brother-in-law did it. It's awesome, dude. It's super easy to get through. Love it.
There was something else I wanted to mention about those games. Man, you took care of Flower Bluff, but yeah, they got to get by Liberty Hill before they can see that Alamo Heights or Piper.
Yeah,
Piper,
don't sleep on Liberty Hill, dude.
Yeah, we kind of talked about Piper last week. They run the air raid. They throw the ball 50 to 60 times a game. They've got some big kids. They've got some playmakers. So that should be a good one next week. Our guy up in San Antonio thinks Heights is going to take that one. We'll see. I'm aiming to watch that game, but man, I thought that was a 2:00 game. That's a 7 p.m. game. I don't know if I'm gonna last that one out very long. So we'll see. We'll see. Especially since it's got no let's save it for the week after, especially since it's got no local ties, right? So
yeah.
4A D1, Region 2, Anna over China Spring, 45-21. China. So you've lost your state championship, so you will not see a repeat champion this year, right? You lost your state champion who went out who went out the area round.
And to tack onto that, first of all, when I saw the score with China Spring down, I texted Mark. I was like, dude, China Spring's down. And he's like, yeah, dude. He's like, the Anna team's really good. Now, when I looked on the rankings, I was like, oh, crap, they're ranked number 2. China Spring, I didn't realize had lost 3 games up to this point. I know Melissa was one of them. You had a lot of returners from China Spring. But also, dude, don't let it overshadow the fact that the other representative in Region 4 at the state championship last year, I think was a bigger upset, was Bernie got bounced.
Yeah, Bernie got bounced, so that jumps into Region 4, right? So
matchup was they were both bounced in round 2, Bernie, and I think the Bernie one was shocker because I didn't really see Lavernia beating them, and it goes back to that thing. Lavernia got beat by Sinton.
Lavernia got beat by Sinton.
Bernie creamed Portland, and then Flower Bluff beat Bernie. It's just like
it doesn't make any sense. I was talking to Robbie earlier. I was like, none of this season makes sense this year, dude. Like,
it's just crazy.
And that's what I was going to talk about, Flower Bluff. So that Flower Bluff team, I was like, what team is going to show up? Is it going to be the team that's been the world beaters the last couple of weeks, or the team that lost to a very subpar Cal Allen team this year?
Yeah, or the team that let San Antonio Vets hang a little closer than I thought they would.
Yeah. So, man, I don't know. It's hard to gauge these things so far, right? So Lavernia's got they've got some great ball players, dude. So that Sinton game, and I think we talked about it when they played Lavernia, they did not have their QB1 that game, who's very shifty. He's probably the shortest kid on the field. He's probably 5'8", 5'9".
So he's like Ace Whitehead.
Yeah, kinda. He's like Ace Whitehead. He can throw the ball. He's very good on his feet. That line is huge, man. Those big old boys from Lavernia, that's a big line. So again, I don't know how I feel about this game, but they won 42-31 over Bernie. They said it was a pretty tight game. They said those kids were hitting each other all game. And I think Bernie fumbled late in the second half, and that's what kind of flipped the tide there and kind of allowed Lavernia to run away with it, man. But I guess you just throw the regular season out, man. If you're a hot team, you're a hot team right now. right?
Yes, you are.
And so they play Davenport, who's a very hot team right now, coming off that 63-28 win right now over Beeville. They scored 21 points out the gate against that Beeville game because Beeville put some stats up, dude. It wasn't something that they just kind of stood by and let these guys run over them. Let me get these numbers real quick. But Elijah Sustada, the quarterback, dude, he had some very good numbers, dude. Let me see. I don't think he may have been top performers of the area around. Let me see. Normally they're not on here if they lose. They may have been in the roundup. Let me look here real quick. Here we go. Area round. Yeah, he threw for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns. So Darian Bettis, a wide receiver, had 123 yards receiving and a touchdown. The running backs really couldn't get it going on the ground. So I don't know how much Elijah ran for, but they put stats up, dude. So it wasn't like they rolled over and they weren't doing anything. Trinity always has those big kids. They got a big Tongan community up there. I don't know how you get that big Tonga community up in the Dallas or the DFW area, but they're there. I remember that year I think they were a second-year program, and it's when I was living in Converse. They played Converse for the state title, and those boys were big, dude. I think it was back-to-back years that they met Judson in the state finals. I may be wrong, but I think it was back-to-back years where they met Judson in the finals. Hey, wow, take it easy, Ken. But yeah, so I mean, they've always had big kids. So yeah, I mean, they're huge. And then it takes us on to the rematch, right? Weathergate 2022.
Yeah.
Port Lavaca Calhoun versus Alice. This game will be played. Actually, the Davenport Bevo game or Davenport Lavernia will be played 7 p.m. Friday at Alamo Stadium. Calhoun Alice, 7:30 p.m. So you've seen some posting 7 o'clock p.m., 7:30 p.m. The Wave from Port Lavaca said it's a 7:30. They pushed it because the game before them is Goliad and Industrial, I think, and they kind of pushed that game a little further. They pushed it back 30 minutes. So it's 7:30 p.m. Friday in Seguin. Lucian Cruz had a great game last week. 128 yards passing, 1 touchdown, ran for 253 yards and 4 touchdowns in their victory over, remind me, I'm drawing a blank. I didn't even write it down. Who did Alice beat?
They beat Lampasas.
Oh, that's right. Bad. So Lampasas was undefeated. Oh, it wasn't that bad. 49-35.
They were up a little more, I feel like.
They scored 35 points in the first half. And then Lampasas kind of surged back at the end of the game. And they kind of held them off. It's kind of like what we saw in that Miller game where Lampasas came back. So it's weird to see that because Lampasas really wasn't very good until Ace Whitehead got there. And they kind of ran with him for a few years and looks like they're back again. This is the first time Alice is going to be in the 3rd round since 2017. So this is kind of like back to their old days. The Alice community, I don't know if you saw the video that they put up. Alice traveled very well.
Sergio's
game last week. Oh, he is on cloud 9, dude. But you know who hasn't made a peep lately is the other guy. His nemesis has not chimed in very often anywhere, lady. Oh, there he is. Finally, dude. That guy's he's been gone all season. I'm singling you out right now, Lavelle. You've been gone all season, dude. We've already talked about that game, dude. That's why you should have logged in.
Dude.
You need to turn your reminders on your phone. Anytime we go live, it sends you the little ping. You know when to get on, right? So Calhoun and Alice, dude. Calhoun is they're Calhoun. They're Calhoun, right? They're gonna do the triple option thing. It's a different Alice team.
I think so too.
I'm not gonna say it's their best Alice team because Alice has had some pretty good teams. A lot of people give Sergio a hard time. Alice was very good back in the day, dude. They've had a couple down years, right? All programs go through it. You went through it a few years ago. Odom's gone through it.
Down years though is the question, or was it just the coaching wasn't there? Because I mean, honestly, dude, I think
let's say they've underachieved. How about that?
I think they've underachieved, dude. And I think that for a while there, that was the MO of that program after Davis left was it was just underachievement. And then you have people that remember the 90s, right? Or whatever it was, the 80s when they were on a tear. And it was, small towns can create a hell of an issue for coaching staffs. And I think they got one in Coach Castellano. I think he's done a heck of a job. I think the kids have bought into the program right. They're winning games. They're doing good. So I think the fun will continue on another week, right? So I think Port Lavaca's had a good year, but I think where Alice is at right now as a team and where Coach Castellanos is at, it's gonna take a hell of a lot of effort from Port Lavaca to beat him this time around.
I think you're right. I'm gonna side with Allison this, man. Probably nobody outside of that locker room expected them to do this well in Castellanos' first year. We talked about it. We thought
No, I think everyone's so used to seeing Cal Allen be the primos, and things are changing, dude.
Yep. Yeah.
So
that takes us to 4A D2. Some interesting notes. This is 4A D2 is very tough across the board, dude. So let's start in Region 3. Silsbee versus Belleville, dude.
yeah,
That's going to be 7:30 Friday, Planet Ford Stadium in Spring. Draylon Miller was out last week.
really.
They had a pretty good win. The offense started clicking again. He was out last week, questionable for this week. I'm hearing he's going to play. So you've got that, which is going to be a heck of a ball game. If you have Texan Live, if you have NFHS, whatever, if one of the local schools is streaming it, watch it. Watch that game. You will not be disappointed.
I think if Draylon's not 100%, dude, Belleville is very slept on.
They're a top 5 team.
Yeah, but it took forever for them to break into the top 10. And they got a lot of size. They have a lot of athletes on that team. They're going to control. It reminds me of like a really good Liberty Hill team. Keep in mind, dude, Silsbee let Sealy hang in that ball game. That ball game with Sealy and Belleville wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. That game was over quick. So I don't know, man. That's one that I think you should.
Because that was a district game for Sealy, right?
Yeah, that was a district game. Sealy was in Belleville's district. Remember, we have a good insider on that one.
Ace played against that Belleville team. Yeah,
Seibert said that's probably one of the best, most athletic teams he's ever coached against. And mind you, that was having played Waco La Vega when they won back-to-back state championships.
Yeah.
So and some really good Wimberley teams that made state runs. So I don't know, dude. I was leaning more Silsbee. When you tell me Draylon's iffy, I don't know, dude.
Yeah. So they're going to need him. And then that brings us to the other part of the bracket, Jasper versus Cuero. Jasper, which took Silsbee to the wire earlier in the season, a district game against a Cuero team. So this Silsbee 2.0 with Jasper, right?
Looking for the rematch, right?
So you could see it's a rematch either way, right? If Silsbee can get by Belleville, they've got a rematch with Jasper. Jasper took them to the wire in the last district game, or they get a rematch with Cuero to avenge that loss they took last year.
And I believe Jasper has a really good receiver or running back.
Their linebacker, they have a linebacker that's very solid as well.
It's either the linebacker or the receiver. I can't remember what it was, but one of them is he was actually on a recruiting trip pretty soon with the University of Texas. So it's a 4-star, I believe. That might be the linebacker. He popped up on my Twitter the other day. But I mean, dude, just that region, that 4A D2 is super, super loaded out.
Dude, bad.
And then if you go across the board, I know this is kind of getting out there, but Region 2 is a rematch of Pleasant Grove and Carthage. Or it's not a rematch, but it's a friendly. They've done some preseason games in the past, Carthage and Pleasant Grove. And if you're sleeping under a rock, whoever wins that's probably going to be the favorite to come out for state, right, across to the other side. So very interesting stuff going on there, dude. The 4A D2 is actually really badass when you look at the names,
across the board,
history of the programs from Region 1 all the way to Region 4. It's deep and it's competitive, and it's honestly might be one of my favorites. Might be my favorite out of all the classifications when you like the matchups you're going to see.
So I just got a chime in. So Ty Anthony Smith is a linebacker from Jasper. That's the guy that you're probably talking about. That was at Texas. That was just kind of, he was stopping everything that game. He may have got player of the game that game. I don't know. but they're playing. Hang on, I'm getting updates on my phone real quick. Hang hang on. And he played wingback against Silsby. Same guy or quarterback.
Okay, so he does
Same
both.
guy.
Right?
Same
He does
guy.
both.
Yeah. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate it. I don't know why you just didn't chime in on the board. He may be at work. I don't know.
Who's Cody?
So that takes us to our region, Region 4. Wimberley versus Ingleside. This is going to be 2 p.m. Friday at Heroes. I will be at this game for sure. I will be at this game at Heroes. Wimberley coming off a 49-7 win over Orange Grove, and Ingleside coming off a 63-33 win over Bandera.
Yep.
I want to see Jaden break the record. And I hate picking against our guys, man, but I think Wimberley's just it, dude.
Yeah, I've been asked a couple times by some people, and that's my pick, dude. Wimberley. No, it's nothing against Ingleside, dude, but Wimberley's coming off a team that made it to state last year. The quarterback's come back, Cody Stover, very good athlete. You know what Wimberley brings to the table. I think Ingleside will give him a game. I don't think it'll be an absolute runaway, but I think Wimberley's got a little bit too much in the tank for Ingleside. And you know what? I hope I'm wrong.
Me too.
Obviously, hope I'm wrong. But if I'm taking a legit shot at this one in the dark, or just a legit shot at this one, I think Wimberley's gonna have a little bit more in the tank than them, and which will lead you to the next game, right? For
Sinton and Navarro,
right? And this one, I got Sinton.
I do too, man. I feel very good about Sinton. They're coming off at 45-35 win over Lago Vista. Derek Garcia, man, a League Tank Solutions Player of the Week winner for us, had 224 rushing yards and a touchdown. I don't know if he caught any balls, but dude, Navarro struggled against Port Isabel, 28-13. Port Isabel squeaking by Robstown. And that's not taking a shot at Robstown. That's because we like Gage. Gage is a friend of ours over there. They're doing good things. They're building the program up. They're just not there yet. Navarro 28-13 over Port Isabel. I think just Sinton has all the pieces right now. They're hot right now. They're clicking. They figured out how to get that offense working.
They've got it together, right? And Garcia has been a big part of that, but that defense has been pretty damn physical as of late. And and I think that's going to overpower Navarro. So that, to me, that's what I want to see. I want to see that defense match up against Wimberley, right, and see what they can do in the next week. And I don't look ahead, but I'm thinking for sure you're looking at Sinton and Wimberley. And I think the way Sinton's playing right now, they got a legit shot at it.
Yep, and this will be a rematch from a few years. Was it the region finals when they played Wimberley a few years ago?
They've done this matchup a couple times.
Yeah, but the most recent where Ryland was the runner, got hurt. Remember, he dislocated his shoulder, broke his collarbone. One of the two. Was that a region final?
I don't want to lie. I'm sure.
Yeah. Either way, yeah. So you'll see a rematch there. It's been there since Mike's been there, so you'll see that rematch. But yeah, I've got Sinton in this one. I feel very good about Sinton, and that will be 7:30 Friday at Jourdanton. So that bumps us down to 3A D1. Your boys, Columbus, they'll be facing Lorena 7 p.m. Friday at Hutto, and we just saw, and there's conflicting information. Where Adam Schobel was rated as the number 1 2025 quarterback in the state, number 13 overall, but somebody had chimed in on the comments that he's actually number 4.
Man, it goes off of different rankings. There's so many rankings out there.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? But I don't know, dude. Columbus is playing some good football right now. I'm feeling pretty confident for him. I'm really confident for him. So, I don't know.
I'd like to see these guys play, dude. I want to see them play.
I've been wanting them to bust through the last 4 years. They've been there.
Yeah, I think if they get to that Final Four, because they're Region 3, if they get to that Final Four and they're playing that Region 4 team, who could be, I mean, it could be Edna, it could be Goliad, it could be Blanco, it could be Industrial. I may go to that game. We'll see.
I'm in the wagon, dude. I'm going to go to that as well. And if they make it a state, I'm taking the boys. We're going.
So that brings us into our Region 4, right? Industrial versus Edna, a rematch of the Lavaca River Showdown, right? That Edna took during the regular season. That's 1 p.m. Friday at Bay City. Edna's up and down, man, but they've been killing people the last 2 weeks, dude.
Yeah, dude.
I was kind of worried after they
lost. I was surprised by that.
Yes, it was bad.
Yes, big time.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on this one, John. I think Edna takes this one. They're just a class above Industrial, and that's not saying anything bad about those guys. I think they're just better.
right now for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're just better. And I think that loss to Goliad may have stung a little bit, may have woke him up.
Yes.
And went that way. So now you got Goliad versus Blanco. I have seen that Goliad team play. I saw them play round 1 against Valferius here in town. And again, man, Goliad's got some fast kids. They got big kids. They're doing great. Blanco, Jamie Dixon, they got that Jamie Dixon magic, who was over at Industrial for years before he took that job over at Blanco.
Yes.
Got them in the playoffs pretty quick, dude. Man, I'm gonna go with Goliad in this one, dude. I want to see a rematch here. I mean, that's the other thing that I didn't mention. Those 3 teams, those 3 out of the 4 are from the same district. Goliad, Industrial, and Edna. You know, and
I'm
Blanco,
going to Goliad as well, dude. I think Goliad's feeling good right now.
I do too.
I like that pick.
They've got a pretty good running back in Eli Lucio. Their defense is very solid. Their quarterback play is good, you know. And they've got some fast receivers, dude.
Yes. You hit the eyes on the prize, right? I haven't yet. I'm kind of feeding off your vibe on that pick.
All right, and that takes us to 3A D2. Region 2. We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. Holiday over Leonard, 42-6. Take that for what you will.
Yeah. Well, if people aren't familiar, who's the Holiday head coach right now?
Kyle Atwood, the former Alice head coach.
Yes, sir.
So he's at Holiday. He's got Holiday ranked in the top 10, and man, they're marching along 42-6. Another
go to Gunter.
Another interesting. We got a guy who wants to chime in here for a little bit. Hang on. Let me get this.
It's Kyle.
it's him. It's him. Where is it? Oh, I gotta find it. What's it called? Hang on. Okay. Let me see.
Oh, Jesus. I know where this is going now. Now I got it.
Oh, man. Where is it? There we go. Here we go. Let's get this guy in the chat here. Gunter scored 83 points last week. 83.
Tell me this. What is too high? Is it 40? Is it 60? Is it 70? Is it 80? Is it 90? What is the rule?
That is my favorite soundbite, dude. I love it, dude. I love it. But, dude, they weren't the only ones that ran. There was a lot of 70-something scores up in 3A D2.
Was that Wolf City?
Well, no, it's I thought it was Wichita Falls City View.
Okay,
that's who I thought it was.
That was Wolf City. That was against our buddy Smitty from West Oso last year.
Oh, Brad Smithy. No, I don't think that's them, dude. I think they're a smaller school.
He made the playoffs, I believe, in his first season as a head coach up in Wolf City. I don't want to trail off and venture off. We got a pretty long show going here, but
yeah, I thought it was because it was WF. It was WF City View, so I figured it was Wichita Falls.
We'll check back on that.
Yeah, so Gunner will face Comanche next week. Takes us down to Region 4. Region 4 is a battle, dude. Rogers versus Tidehaven at the Berry Center. Rogers, very solid team, dude. They run the wishbone. They run the old Air Force offense. I reached out to our guy. You know, guys, I don't know if you know this, but we're friends with the assistant head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Right.
Yes,
we don't like to toot our horn very much, but that's one we are gonna toot our horn on, is we are friends with the assistant head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Come on, very big
and so I messaged him because I was told they run the old Air Force offense. I was like, what has changed from the Air Force offense? Because they're a run-based offense. So I messaged Jamel, and I was like, hey, dude, when you played at the academy for Coach Barry, what offense did y'all run? Obviously, I congratulated him on the win last night, right? If you guys didn't watch Monday Night Football, it was one for the ages. He's like, dude, we're that team, man, that likes to give everybody heart attacks, right? So he said, no, we used to run the wishbone, dude, triple option, you know, and he said we called it the fishbone, you know, in honor of Fisher DeBerry, right? That's what they called it, was the fishbone. So that's what Rogers runs, and they're a very big physical team, dude. This is going to be, I think it's going to be a game reminiscent of that Tidehaven East Bernard game, because East Bernard is a very run heavy, big physical team. So Tidehaven's going to have their handful with Rogers, man. That's going to be Friday at the Berry Center. Great stadium. One of the best stadiums I've ever been in. Yeah, so that'll be there Friday at 4 p.m. Dude, I'm gonna wear my Homer hat on this one. I'm gonna go with Tidehaven. You know, I covered them last week, and I met one of their assistant principals that, or their high school principal that we've been chatting on Facebook a lot through the page, and he said, "You're one of us now, dude." So I'm along for the ride, dude. I'm along for the ride. Now, let's go to the other side of that bracket. Poth versus Lexington, Friday, 6:30 p.m. at New Braunfels Cougar Stadium.
Give me
I'm also
Poth.
part of the Poth family, dude. So I went out and covered them against who did they play? Hebbronville
Hebbronville.
in the bi-district round. And see, there he is, Joey Rosales. You are one of us. There we go. Thanks, Joey. Poth's got some ball players, dude. They've
Give
got
me
some
Poth,
ball
dude.
players. They're big. I mean, I sent you some of those pictures.
I watched
of
the East Bernard game, dude.
Yeah. What did you think of Gabe? What did you think of Gabe? Our 97 Sports Promotion helmet sticker winner against Hebbronville. The dude could do everything, dude. He can do everything. That's going to be you've got some good matchups here in Region 4 and 3AD2, man. Again, watch them. Watch them. I'm hoping for that Poth Tidehaven rematch. Poth has had Tidehaven's number the last 3 meetings they've had. And Poth coming off that state finalist appearance against Gunner last year. Man, it's going to be a game, dude. I just hope they can get by these opponents this week. Lexington, I got to say it, dude. They beat my Owls last week after I pounded my chest. They had a chance, dude. Odom was moving the ball, dude. So Odom got inside on their first drive inside the 10, fumbled the ball. Lexington has big play capability. 2 plays later, 81-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, you can't do that. You'll kill yourself.
Lexington up 7-0. Next drive, Odom fumbles on the 1. 3 plays later, Lexington scores, and that was it, dude. So Odom was moving the ball, dude. You get down 14-0. You get down 14-0 like that. You're kind of shell shocked, and it changed your coaching philosophy. It changes everything, right? Now what do we do? And kids get down. Yeah. So congratulations on the Owls. Coach Huerta was the 16-3A D2 Coach of the Year after coming off a 1-loss season last year and then going 8-2.
Well deserved.
9-2, actually 9-2. And 2 rounds deep in the playoffs. So congratulations, Coach. 2A D1. This is another interesting matchup in this bracket here. Holland versus Ganado. 7 p.m. Friday at Cream City, brother. Cream City. That's Branham, right? So I saw that on a T-shirt. I thought that was pretty cool.
Cream City.
Cream City. Holland is the District 13 winner, and Ganado's the District 15 runner-up. And the other side of the bracket, you got Refugio versus Weimar. 7 p.m. Friday at the Dub in San Antonio, Dub Harris Stadium. Refugio is the District 15 winner, and Weimar's the District 13 runner-up. So you got the 2 top teams in these 2 districts meeting in the Final Four in this region. Jordan King had a heck of a game last week against Weimar, against Johnson City. 248 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns. Another one, they won 70-something to 0 or to 7, I think. Right? I mean, it was almost unfair. I would like to see Ganado take Holland, and I'd like to see those 2 in the region finals. That's what I would like to see.
And Refugio rematch.
Yep.
See, I want to see Holland. I want to see what Holland can bring to the table against Refugio. I want Refugio to get tested before they play. Well, I would assume it would be Simpson. Let's see.
Yeah, that's where all bets are going. Right?
28-14. It's kind of similar to what they're doing. I hate that commercial. Sorry.
Yeah. And then, go ahead.
And then they beat Weimar 43-22. Okay, so I don't know what you get with Holland, but I'd like to see them match against Refugio.
Yeah, we'll see. And then 2A-D2, just to round it up, you've got Braemont versus Fall City, 6 p.m. Friday at Cedar Park, Gupton Stadium. Fall City kind of started a little slow this year, but they're coming around just at the right time, right? That perennial Beaver power.
Always.
But man, I think that's it, dude. And we're only an hour and 14 into the show.
This is probably our last long show, just considering the fact that there's a strong possibility majority of our teams get bounced.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
It'll definitely slow down. And if there's nothing,
this is part of the year, it's like, it's only Refugio left.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's really where it is, right? Oh, it's just Refugio. That's about par for the course. Guys, again, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Hey, did you want to Did you want to share that video that we talked about earlier?
Yeah, throw it out there.
All right. So, you tell your little background while I get it loaded up, how you found it.
Oh, I'm not a big TikTok guy at all. So I found it interesting that the algorithm popped up for me. It was a kid walking out to looking for his grandpa right after the game, probably his last game of play football, and it was Vela, right? That's
Yeah, it
Edinburgh.
was ironic that it was a game that was one of our local teams
Yeah,
against,
that's
right?
what I thought. That was to me that's why I sent it to Jacob. I'm like, dude, that's Edinburgh Vela. It's a kid after they lost to Miller, and I think the thing that a lot of people forget, and something that we normally make a post about, but we didn't this year. I noticed, and it's just with all the excitement and your team's moving on. Don't forget about the kids that aren't moving on to the next round, right? Because that's a big part of some of these kids' lives, and this is a big deal to a lot of kids. And, you kind of want to win with class, right? Because at the end of the day, it's going to be someone's last game in the next couple of weeks, right? Whether you make it to state and lose, you make it to state and win, there's going to be some seniors that will never play this game again. And it's a big deal. So I thought this video was cool. It was local, just very neat. So something worth sharing.
All right, let me make these. Let's get us out of here.
It's time to get in here. I'll have to buy a ticket. Can't you give me 5 more minutes? Time rolls by, the clock don't stop. I wish I had a few more drops of the good stuff.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So if you read the little liner notes on it on the video, it's actually his step grandpa.
Okay.
Is what it said. So he's known him since he was 5, and I guess that was the only time he's actually got to see him play.
Yeah, there you go.
So that was high school football, man. That's what it's all about. Guys, again, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you see us out this week, not Justin, because Justin will be working. But if you see me out this week and you're up in San Antonio, there's a lot of great football to watch this weekend. The weather's gonna be kind of crappy. Don't let that stop you. That's actually perfect football weather, right?
Oh,
The rain should clear up Friday night. That was Becca's big concern. Are we outside Friday night or is it an inside game? I was like, well, it's outside.
On Saturday.
Yes, Saturday's a different story. Saturday it'll be dome seating. But thanks, Frank. We appreciate it. Chris, same to you. Everybody, happy Thanksgiving. We won't see you guys until next week. We'll figure out over the holiday when we're going to air the show next week, whether it's Tuesday or Thursday. When are you off again?
I'm on nights, dude. So I start Friday, Saturday. I took the overtime. I'm like a moron. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Wednesday's my last night. So we can either do it Thursday or we can do a pre-recorded show sometime in the day. It don't matter to me. Whatever works.
So these games usually are going to be Friday and Saturday, right? We should not have any Thursday games, I would think, right? It's region finals, right? Yeah. So the stadium demand gets smaller. So we should start seeing these games stack up indoors. Yeah. Right, probably in the Alamo Dome or whatnot. Speaking of games indoors, NRG is going to have a banger matchup Saturday or Friday as well. So is Dallas. So is San Antonio. These games they're piling up, dude. There's a lot of games to watch. Again, guys, thanks again for watching. Everybody that's on the road this weekend, that's traveling for the holidays, you guys be careful. Of course, Refugio will always play on Thursday, right? That's the other thing. They always play on Thursday. They want to get that extra day in. We'll talk about that when we get there, about last year's.
Kind of good, though, we'll get to watch Pharaoh, and then we'll get to do a Friday or Saturday. So whatever.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. So maybe we'll get a Thursday show in, and we'll go from there. Guys, again, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate the support, and we will see you next week.